Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we have got our first true installment of the monthly meta adaptations. Thank you to all of you who suggested names for this series of videos. I'll try to find the one I like the most, monthly meta adaptations. Appreciate all of your guys' support, and thank you for that. So what this is, if you guys don't know, this is where we look at the best Tyranid lists in general tournament play from the past month. So we're in October now, so September. These lists will all be from September GTs mainly, ones that have done well, really well, typically, 5-1, 4-1, or undefeated, just to see what people are bringing and what's doing well. If that all sounds good, do like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our content here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios. We do a ton of things, mainly Tyranid related, but we like to branch out here and there and provide a variety of content as well. And again, a big shout out to all of our members. Thank you guys for allowing us to do this. Just in general, without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are. We have surpassed 10K. There is a 10K subscriber live stream, 10-hour 10K subscriber live stream going in a few weeks. I'll put the link here. Here. There will be giveaways and all sorts of fun stuff. But I just got to shout that out every video because we want it to be a big live stream. Now, with all that, let's dive into these lists. So in today, we have 8 lists for you guys, but only 4 detachments. Unfortunately, Assimilation Swarm and Unending Swarm have not done well, or no one has really brought them to any success in this month. So we're just going to have 2 lists from every other detachment to show you guys, because there's at least some variety within the list themselves. So let's start off right off the bat. We have our first list from Vanguard Onslaught. This is by Nathaniel Bjorg. I want to say Bjorn, but there's a G in there and I'm not sure how to say that. Bjorg, congratulations. He got 6th at Iron Cage September Slaughter. He went 4-1 with 51 players. His opponents were Death Guard, Thousand Suns, a loss, Dark Eldar, Dark Angels, and then Imperial Guard or Asper Militarum. His list was a Death Leaper, a Winged Prime, 3 Brood Lords, a Neuro Tyrant with the Neuro Node, a Winged Hive Tyrant with Chameleonic, and a Winged Tyranid Prime. He has decided to forego Battle Line in this one and go with 3 units of Gene Stealers, 2 Lictors, a Neurolictor, a unit of 6 Melee Warriors, a unit of 6 Raveners, 2 individual Ravener squads, or 2 3-man squads, and a 3-man squad of Von Ryan Leapers. Really like this list. A couple things: no Gargoyles, no Hormigons, so no Battle Line there, and no Biovore. Obviously, he's using the 2 3-man squads of Raveners to kind of simulate what the Biovore will be doing anyway, as the Raveners can pop up and down at all times. I'm sure he's going to bring the Lictors in. Maybe he puts 1 or 2 on the board. Maybe he strategic reserves one of them, saves them for objectives. As well as the Leapers are nice to have because they can do some good screening for armies like World Eaters who like to, and other Vanguard Onslaught who like to jump the gun with their insane scout moves and advance and charge and all of that. So utility units there. So it's probably taking the 3 Gene Stealers, or the 3 10-man blocks. I'm guessing he's rushing 2, if not all 3 of them, turn 1, get up the board, try to get into melee, and lock your opponent in the back line, while the big block of Raveners, the Melee Warriors, the Hive Tyrants, and Death Leaper, of course, they all just kind of position themselves on the board for later turns. And his game plan really is to just tie up your opponent as much as possible, limit that primary scoring and secondary scoring for that matter, and then those Melee Warriors and Raveners can come in on turn 3 or 4 and just deliver a quick and brutal punch, being advance and charge and twin linked weapons. They can really trade up into a lot of things. So great list. I can see Thousand Suns could be a tricky one. All of those Flamers and Magnus is quite a nasty thing to deal with without really any ranged threat here in this army, but 4-1 is still a great result, so congratulations again. Going to our second Vanguard Onslaught list, Similar but different. This is Dansky 26. He got 4th at Lou Ostford 2024. He went 4-1. There's 29 players, and he played against Admech, Imperial Guard, Dark Angels, Imperial Guard again, and he lost to Tau in the finals, it looks like. His list, he's got Swarmlord, so nice to see Swarmlord even in a Vanguard Onslaught. He's got Death Leaper. Again, 3 units of, or 3 Broodlords. One of them does have Neuro Nerd, and then he's got the Neuro Tyrant with Hunting Grounds. The Neuro Tyrant is something I really like in the list. In the rest of the list, he's got a Biovore. Again, 3 units of Gene Stealers, 1 Lictor, 1 unit of Raveners, 1 unit of 6 Zoanthropes to go with that Neuro Tyrant, 2 Exocrines, and a Rupture Cannon Tyrannofex. So again, his play style is going to be similar to the last Vanguard Onslaught, where the 3 units of Gene Stealers just flush forward and try to stall your opponent, do melee damage as much as possible, but really just stall the scoring, while the Death Leaper and the Lictor and the Raveners just kind of go around the board scoring objectives. Swarmlord's probably rushing to get to the center as much as possible to help limit stratagem usage. And then, unlike the last list where he's got reserves of more melee weapons, this list has got the Zoanthropes, probably strategic reserving them, maybe not, depending on the matchup. 2 Exocrines and a Rupture Cannon waiting in reserve to start shooting down and softening those targets for the Gene Stealers as they get into it later on. Still, powerful list. Something I like to see. I do like the 2 Exocrine Rupture Cannon trifecta there. It's a fun combo. And it just 30 Gene Stealers and 3 Broodlords seem to be the way the successful Vanguard Onslaught lists are going these days. So again, congratulations, and we'll move on to Synaptic Nexus. Now this is a list that I did not include in the last video we did, but by popular demand, I am including it. It just missed the cut from when we were looking at lists, just kind of the weird timing, so it's made it into here. This is Samuel Pope's Synaptic Nexus. He got 5th at the Nova Open. It was 363 players, which he went 8-1 with. He beat Tau, Vanguard Onslaught Nids, Chaos Demons, another Vanguard Onslaught Nids list. Sisters, he lost to Sisters, and he beat Deathwatch in Tau. That is 9 games. 9 games is an insane weekend. 6 is my record. 8 if you count a small doubles tournament and then a 5-round GT afterwards, but still 9 games of 2,000 points. It's just a slog fest there. In Synaptic Nexus, so he got a Hive Tyrant here with Synaptic Control. The -1 damage is very good. And a Neuro Tyrant with Power of the Hive Mind to make that Flamer a real threat to most opponents, most infantry walking up the board. Battle on, he's got 10 Hormigons. The rest of it is a nasty list of bulk. He's got a Biovore for secondaries, 3 Exocrines, Neurolictor to really help trigger that Synaptic Nexus stratagem there, 2 Norn Emissaries, a Lictor, a Pyrovore, and 2 Tyrannofexes with Rupture Cannons. Now this is really just throwing as much meat at your opponent and seeing if they can handle it. The Norns are probably going to go take 2 objectives. Maybe they stick together on 1 objective, but likely they're going to just go for 2 objectives, 2 separate ones. The 5-up Feel No Pain they'll get, the 4-up against Dev Wounds, and then this strategy or detachment has the strat for Armor of Contempt, which is very powerful on the Norns. If they already aren't getting just a 4-up invuln, you can maybe get 3-ups against some big weapons with cover. The Exocrines and the Tyrannofex is going to be extremely efficient with the stratagem Will of the Hive Mind to get those rerolls to hit and wound. So not only will your first Exocrine potentially be getting the reroll hits, but you also get the wounds, and everything afterwards will get that as well if they target the same thing. Really, it's hard enough for some opponents to deal with the Norns, but the Tyrannofexes have that anti-tank punch to deal with the things that are going to try to deal with the Norns, so it's quite a trade-off there. The Lictor and the Pyrovore obviously are probably doing secondaries and stuff, the Biovore as well. And then that Hive Tyrant is just there waiting in the wings, providing those free stratagems or discounted stratagems, and is also a melee threat himself. So again, congratulations to Samuel Pope. He continues to be probably one of the best Tyranid players there are in 10th edition these days, and shows you with this list right here. We have one more Synaptic Nexus list. This has got a somewhat similar feel to it, but different enough that we should cover it. Billy Boyson got third at the Sunflower Showdown GT. It was 41 players, 4-1 he went with 36 players. He beat Tau, Dark Eldar, lost to Necrons, and he played Sisters and Thousand Suns. So his list, very interesting here. Just a Neuro Tyrant with Power of the Hive Mind. No Tyrant at all, which is, again, interesting. Shows you don't necessarily need one. He had 10 Gargoyles and 10 Hormgaunts in the battle line. The rest of it is just, again, another wall of bulk. A Biovore for secondary, 2 Neurolictors for actions and triggering that good strats with Battle Shock, 2 Norn Emissaries, 2 Maliceptors, 2 individual Pyrovores for some secondary shenanigans, and 2 Tyrannofexes with the Acid Spray. So that right there, those are our 3 most durable units in the Codex right now. Tyrannofex, Maliceptor, and Norn Emissary, and he brought 2 of each of them. So you're going to have those Norns sitting on those objectives. You're going to have your Maliceptors accompanying them up onto probably each objective, provide those debuffs and good shooting. And then the Tyrannofex even more is probably going to follow them up the board as well. Just these 2 bricks of 3 monsters going up to those center objectives, something like that, and just playing the primary game. Hormagaunts and Gargoyles to try and steal the opponent's primary, maybe, score some secondary. And yeah, he's probably just playing to out-primary his opponent. It is interesting. I'm curious to how he managed to handle something like Magnus. Maybe Magnus was not that big of a deal to him, but without any real range threat, I think Magnus would do mean things to this list. But nonetheless, he proved it didn't bother him, and that was the list. So congratulations to Billy on a great performance. And now let's get into Invasion Fleet. So Invasion Fleet, our original detachment, still used a lot. This list is by Car Nos. He got second at the Hammer Cup Solo, and he got a golden ticket. 5-0 with 101 players. His opponents were Eldar, Tau, League of Votann, Chaos Space Marine, and again, Tau. 5-0 against those guys. Very nice performance. His list is a Hive Tyrant with Adaptive Biology, Old One-Eye, and the Swarmlord. Love to see the double Tyrant. Battle line, 2 units of Gargoyles and a unit of Hormgaunts. So he's going with the more classic Gargoyles to steal objectives. He does have that strat to res some of them if needed. The rest of the list is a Biovore, 2 Carnifexes to accompany Old One-Eye, 2 Exocrines for some much-needed fire support, 2 Maliceptors for some durability and objective holding, 1 unit of Neuroguns. I'm sure that was just what points he had left over, probably popping them in strategic reserve just to help with some actions or something, and a Lictor for probably more or less the same thing. So again, congratulations. This is more of a classic list, something we saw at the beginning. Well, except for Swarmlord. We didn't see him at the beginning of 10th, but more towards the beginning of 10th. This was the kind of list we saw. He showed he was a good player and pulled it off with a fantastic performance there. So again, congratulations. And let's move on to, is this our final one? No. Our next Invasion Fleet list was Lucas Woback. He got first at the Emona GT Volume 3, 5-0, 44 players. His opponents were Thousand Suns, Sisters, Grey Knights, Orcs, and Necrons. His list, a Hive Tyrant with Adaptive Biology. The rest of it, again, we're seeing a common theme here. Even though detachments change, it's a lot of bulk. So we had the Biovore for secondary, 3 Exocrines for needed fire support, 3 Lictors for probably some primary control and secondary shenanigans, 2 Maliceptors, 2 Norn Emissaries, a Pyrovore, and a Tyrannofex with the Acid Spray. So that Acid Spray effect is making a little bit of a comeback. A little more consistent than the Rupture Cannon. You can play it a bit more aggressive, paired with that Hive Tyrant, so he's probably running that thing up the board, benefiting from that assault bubble and being a real nuisance while the Norns and the Maleceptors try and just hold on the primary there. Some of these armies, it shows, I think, would actually do pretty good into this detachment. Thousand Sons, Sisters, Grey Knights potentially have a good time dealing with bulky things, but he showed he was a great player and was able to work around those what I thought would be not great matchups. And congratulations to Lucas on that 5-0 performance, showing that the classic invasion fleet still has it. Now we're into Crusher Stampede, the detachment that's seen the biggest glow up in recent months here. So we have Sebastian Geoffrion. It's a cool last name. I don't know how to say it, but hopefully I got kind of close. He got first at the Abyss Back to School 40k GT. 5-0, 26 players. His opponents were Grey Knights, Admech, Custodes, Space Wolves, and Space Marines. So all Imperium as his opponents there, which is kind of interesting. His characters was the Swarmlord. We gotta love that Swarmlord. Battle line, 2x10 Hormigons and a unit of Gargoyles. He had a Biovore, 2 Exocrines, 2 Lictors, 2 Maleceptors, a Pyrovore, a Trigon, and 3 Rupture Cannon Tyranofexes. So again, Crusher Stampede favors the monsters, and that's absolutely what he's doing here. The Maleceptors do really benefit from this detachment. They like this +1 to hit if they get wounded, and they do enjoy the +1 to wound, because if they do get that +1 to wound, now they're actually like decent melee threats as well as the +1 to hit. So having those guys get up there and probably just help contest the center objectives with Swarmlord in tow is pretty good. The Hormigons are there to do actions, maybe steal and flip objectives. And the 3 Rupture Cannons, I mean, your opponent's got to deal with 3 Rupture Cannons. Probably playing a little reserved with maybe 1 or 2 of them, but I'm sure he's sending 1 up the board to help contest primary. And that's not a problem. The Exocrine's also laying down a ton of fire support. And then he's got that little Trigon. It's a big Trigon. The 3-inch Deep Strike is very nice. It helps with some of the secondaries, as well as just being a nasty monster. Because it is 14 wounds, your opponent has to choose between all of these other monsters going at them, and then the Trigon. So if you Rapid Ingress the Trigon, or just Deep Strike it, now it can move and do damage in the back line. And looking at his opponents, the Trigon matches up pretty good into a lot of those enemies. So yeah, it looks like he had a great time. Congratulations on your first place victory there. And yeah, Monster Bulk is still king right now. At least that's what it's showing. And finally, we have one more list at Crusher Stampede. This is a really interesting one. He was, let's see, list 2. This was Victor Bergenholtz. He got 3rd at the Invasion 40k 2024. 5-1, 94 players. He played against Eldar, Thousand Sons, Grey Knights, Dark Angels, a Tyranids mirror match, and he lost in the finals to Blood Angels. So he's got Death Leaper, he's got a Hive Tyrant, he's got Swarmlord. I love the double Tyrant thing there. Battle line, 2x10 Hormigons, and a unit of Termagants. First time we've seen one of those in a little while. We've got a Biovore, 2 Exocrine, a Lictor, a Harusvex, 2 Maleceptors, and now for the interesting part, a unit of 22 Neurogaunts, a unit of 11 Neurogaunts, a Neurolictor, and a Tyranofex with the Rupture Cannon. So a little bit of a different take on it. It's fun to see this many Gaunts in a Crusher Stampede list. I'm sure the big block of 22 is to just kind of help seal off maybe the back line to prevent anything from deep striking in his backfield. It's only 90 points, so you know, if they die randomly here or there, it's not the end of the world. That 11-man unit is probably strategic reserving to help with some actions. The Lictor may be doing more or less the same. And then the Biovore. He's got Hormigons to flip objectives, Termagants to do the same. And yeah, it is an interesting list. The Exocrines and the Rupture Cannon provide some shooting. The Maleceptors provide some shooting. You've got that Harusvex as a distraction card effects there. and then the double Tyrant to hold down the line in melee and provide you with a lot of stratagem support, which Crusher Stampede really, really benefits from. So yeah, really good there. I can see how he did well against all of those opponents. The mirror match Crusher Stampede would be an interesting one. I wonder if the mass of Gaunts helped him turn the tide in that one, as well as Blood Angels. He does not have a ton of melee threat. Yes, the Tyrants have it, but I can see Blood Angels are that army. They like to hit hard and hit fast, and they have no problem dealing with big monsters. So can see how that matchup might have been a tough one for Tyranids, for this type of Tyranid list. Congrats again, Victor, on that 5-1. Really nice to see this kind of more unique list take place for the Crushers. And that's pretty much what we got. A little bit of a conclusion here. So again, no Assimilation Swarm and no Unending Swarm, unfortunately, so far. It's some things we're seeing. Most people, but not everybody, are bringing at least one Tyrant. The Exocrines are still king. I think every single one of these lists, almost every single one of these lists had at least 2 Exocrines. Only except for the one Vanguard Onslaught did we not have 2 Exocrines in it. Monsters are still showing to be what's up for the Tyranids right now, which, I mean, people enjoy the monsters. So almost everyone's got Tyrannofexes. A lot of people are seeing Malicept. I'm seeing Maliceptors, as you can see in this. Maliceptors are making a big comeback. They never weren't good. They've always been good. They've never got any point changes. But I think people tried other things than the Maliceptors for a bit. Also, maybe you have to take in fact that Maliceptors have been tricky to come by. Maybe more people are getting them and using them and having a good time with them because they are a fantastic unit for their price, their support, their offensive ability. So yeah, Maliceptors, Tyrannofexes, Tyrants, Biovore, of course, and Exocrines. Those are the big things we're seeing in all of these lists, no matter the detachment. So we'll see. There might be a balanced data slate later this month. Maybe that changes things, at least for the point. I should say it would be a Minotaur field manual update. So point changes. Maybe we'll see some point changes to Tyranids. Hopefully not. Tyranids are rocking still like a 49% win rate, which is right where you want them. So we'll see. That's all I got. If you guys liked this, again, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to stay up to date on our content, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.